Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite paranormal investigator. My name's Tim Sedano. This is Paranormal Insight, and on today's show, we have David Salinas from Down the Rabbit Hole, and Zoey Quinn will be joining us shortly. She's not quite here yet, but before we jump into who's here and what we're going to talk about, I have to preface things with this. And I told one of my guests, the only guest here currently, David, a little bit about this. But so, David, forgive the repeat. But about 2 months ago now, I returned to my faith. I'm a Catholic. There was 40 years between the ages of 14 and now. Do the math. Yeah, I'm 54. Big deal. Where I was Catholic, but I wasn't attending church and all that fun stuff. And then I had this, we'll call it an epiphany, I guess you can say, but that's the incorrect term. But you get my meaning. I'm a filmmaker and a writer, as most of you know, and I was writing up a script. And in this script, there's a lot of religious context, including a demonic possession. And one of the heroes of this is a priest, a former exorcist, who is going to use his knowledge to free this girl, this demon. Well, it required a lot of research, and I knew a little bit, but not everything. And I had to dig into Psalms and pieces of the Bible and exorcism protocol and all that fun stuff. And it, as I explained to my friend, it touched my heart. It brought me back to the church. And since I've been back, nothing really has changed except I go to confession one day and church the other. Honestly, that's about it. I try to be a little better, can't talk, a little bit better of a person. The only thing I'm really hanging on to is not saying the Lord's name in vain. If you gotta, you gotta. I'm not here to preach to you. I'm not a deacon, okay? But that's my personal little thing. And one of hey, Heidi's here. Woohoo! Heidi's in the chat. The super fan. Anyway, so as I've been exploring my faith and watching new things on Instagram, for example, I'm going to share with you a video I came across very late last week, which prompted this show. And if you bear with me, I'll play you that video right now. And Zoey's here. Okay, hold on. Let me bring Zoey in. Zoey, you're coming in right now, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yay, Zoey's here. Heading to the stage. Oh, no one can see me because I there we go. We're all here.
Hey, everybody. Hi. What's up?
Hello.
So, Tim, can I ask you a quick question before you continue?
Of course.
When you walked into the church and you put the holy water in, how much did it burn?
0. I was fortunate.
Hi, Zoey.
Hi, Zoey. How's it going? Zoey, you missed my intro a little bit. To bring you up to speed, big hi from Heidi in the chat to both of
Heidi.
You. And Eric is joining us from Paranormal Truth. Outstanding. Yeah. We got all 4 guys. Ladies and gentlemen, he's spooling in right now. Oh, wow. This is going to be a big show. Big show.
Gosh darn it.
As he spools in, I'm waiting for him to completely spool in. There he is. Eric, hey, welcome Eric. To the show. You're live with us on the show. I'm sorry to drop you in just like that, but I wanted to let everyone know who we're talking with and all that fun stuff. And at the risk of repeating myself, I will inform Zoey and Eric what I just told everyone else real quick. And ladies and gentlemen at home, I'm really sorry if I repeat myself. I'm a filmmaker and a writer, and I was writing this one script, and it's finished now, where I was exploring in a kind of an adventure / misadventure where a young woman is possessed, and a priest is brought in to exorcise her, get the demon out. So in my research, and I'm Catholic, that's my background, but I didn't really know that much about it per se. Big hello to everyone. Big hello to everyone joining us in the chat. And so I did a lot of my research, parts of the Bible that were applicable to my story, and exorcism research on protocols and stuff like that, what was required, what some priests bring to it, give them a little extra juice, that type of thing. And as I was doing this research, I was moved. It touched me in the heart. I mean, I missed it. So 2 months ago, I returned to the church, which is kind of where we picked up now. And I was, I'm still just doing me. I'm still doing paranormal investigation. But when I watched the video we're all about to watch, I had a question. Is what I'm doing, perhaps technically, if not thoroughly, heresy? I don't think it is, but I'll play you the video that inspired this question. So bear with me. I'm going to have to bring the mic down to my computer because some reason it won't interface with my sound system. But here we go. There he is. And this is Father DeHill, if I remember his name correctly. Hold on. I have to hit the right button so we can all see the video. Alrighty. So this should... Nope, that's me. There we go. Is it
So
up
I
there,
see
guys?
you
I
and
see him.
beasts.
Okay, there we go. I found him. Here we go.
You found the Ouija board in the closet, tarot cards in the dresser drawer, crystals on the shelf. You know they have to go. Here's how you get rid of them the right way. You can't just throw this stuff in the trash. These items were used to open doors, to invite something in. Till those doors are closed and that invitation is revoked, the influence stays. Throwing the object away doesn't break the bond. You have to break it. Get rid of all of it. Ouija boards and pendulums, tarot cards, oracle and divination decks, crystals with charged stones used for energy work, books on witchcraft, spells, magic, new age, or occult practices, amulets, talismans, evil eye charms, hamses, statues or images of pagan or false gods, anything connected to Reiki, palmistry, astrology, or seances, items from ex-partners tied to sexual sin, anything you brought into your home from a psychic, medium, or occult practitioner. Before you touch any of it, confess having used it or owned it, renounce it by the name of Jesus in the confessional, stand in front of the items and say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I renounce every spirit, every influence, and every bond connected to these objects. I close every door I opened. I claim back every inch of ground for Jesus Christ. Say it out loud. The demons can't read your thoughts. They need to hear it. Break wooden boards, tear cards and books, shatter crystals with a hammer, cut amulets. Don't be precious about it. These things have no power once you reclaim authority, but you must physically destroy them so that no one else picks them up and uses them. Burn paper, cloth, decks, and books outside safely. For metal, stone, or glass, wrap it, take it off your property, and dispose it where it cannot be recovered. Do not sell it. Do not give it away. You don't pass the curse to someone else. Sprinkle holy water through every room where the items were kept, and pray the St. Michael prayer. If you can, have a priest come and bless your home. This isn't superstition. This is the Catholic understanding of authority. Same authority Christ gave his church 2,000 years ago. You renounce, you destroy, you bless. The door closes. Do it today. Don't sleep on it. Now go clean house.
Okay, let me bring us all back somewhere. Where is it?
Right there.
There we go.
All right.
So, welcome back, everyone. So that's the video that inspired this podcast. As a paranormal investigator, I use a lot of computer stuff, a lot of computer research, internet research. So,
Sinner.
But I do have one piece of literary stuff. It's the Encyclopedia of Witchcraft, and it's actually helped me in a number of cases because we've had a lot of conflicting energies and stuff, happen in certain houses and domiciles and cases and stuff like that. So it wasn't. So I guess that's where I'm starting this interview. Sherry's here. Welcome, Sherry. Is that since I have this and I'm not practicing with it, it is a reference, a resource.
Mm-hmm.
Am I in violation?
Yes, according to that dude, you're in super violation, sir. You're, you ever heard the term hand basket, hell in a hand? That's you. All right. But here's what I have to say about what that gentleman just said, who had beautiful hair, by the way. I thought I was like, wow, this dude's hair.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
That blue-eyed demon. Let me just say this. Bullshit. Excuse me. I don't know if I'm able to cuss on this show.
No. Keep it trim. I go to public radio.
Baloney. All right.
Yeah.
I don't buy it. Listen, I used to be a very devout Catholic. I used to be. Everything he's saying, take hate towards the stuff and destroy it and whatever. Come on, man. That's not what it's about. I think what you're using, the reference you're using, has been helpful. Yes, you just said.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, for that, you can say, and forgive me, I'm not trying to, all of you, I don't know what your religious references are. I know what Tim's is. But Jesus, what, is he a zombie? Because he came back from the, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's easy to say those things about that. You can say that about witchcraft. You and I have a friend, my best friend.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's half the reason I'm asking the question, is because
there's nothing wrong with her. So I don't think, I don't subscribe to that. I don't think he's accurate. I understand where he's coming from, and because I grew up in that. But I mean, what do you think about that, Tim? I'm really curious to hear what you have to say about it.
Before we get to my answer, let's ask Eric and Zoey to chime in.
Please.
I think Eric's frozen, but I'll go then.
Is Eric frozen? Okay. Eric will come back, I assume.
I thought I offended him. He was just frozen. All right, cool.
Go ahead.
I thought it'd be funny if I immediately went and grabbed my Oracle cards.
Yeah.
So I've got my cards here.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
You made him cough.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first thing I would say is just in regards to specifically that video, and then I guess kind of as a whole. And there's a lot of sound here, so if it gets too loud, just let me know. I can close the door. Chicago. So, okay. So, first thing I noticed is fear. Everything about that is fear.
Okay.
I think from the time that we're young, if you grow up in really kind of any family, atheist or religious, my family was like, Christian light, but nobody was ever too devout. And point is what I'm getting at is you're often told as a child, don't, that's not real. It can't hurt you, just whatever. And it's all of these things like some of the things that he said. Some of what he said is, I close these doors. I rebuke this, et cetera, et cetera. So these are all methods of protection and to help yourself when you are exposed. However, when you do anything, especially spiritually, from a source of fear, you're already starting off in the wrong position. So, he said things like, you got to speak out loud because demons can't read your mind. Well, they can. And
I found that interesting. Go ahead.
Well, and even in the Catholic faith, like exorcists acknowledge that they read your mind, but I digress.
Which is funny you mentioned because he is an exorcist formerly. Anyway, go ahead.
No, that's good. Yeah, I mean, so everything that he's preaching comes from a source of fear and disrespect. What I've learned is that, like with people, even bad people, in fact, and maybe especially so, but with anything dark or just otherworldly, something you are don't know what it is, the shadow person at the end of your bed is not always evil, right? And you should be approaching it with respect. And so asking like, why is it here? What do you want? And it's kind of like a tiger, right, in the woods. Like, you're not going to ask a tiger what it wants, of course, but you are in the jungle. If you are in the jungle and you're encountering a tiger, well, you're in its territory, and it's going to do what it's going to do. That's what its whole existence is to be a predator. And so same thing with anything dark, that they have their own design, just like anything positive. And I know I'm kind of running on here a bit, but the other note that I put with this was everything he said was from a source of fear, but also was to separate yourself from yourself, and I'd argue also from God. So like, whatever name you want to put on that, spirit, God, universe, the creator of all things, to create separation from yourself, from within, from God.
Back.
Hey, Eric, I think you're already starting off on the wrong foot. So I could keep going on all that, but that'll be my little exposition on that.
Okay. Eric, same question to you. First thoughts?
First thoughts is like, I grew up in the Roman Catholic Church, and then back in 2009, I became a born-again Christian. And so one thing that I've noticed throughout the history of my time in the church is, especially with the Catholic Church and Protestants, when it comes to demonology, when it comes to casting spirits out, they often turn to mediums and spiritists to get an extra inclination as to what's actually happening in that house. Because the Catholic Church won't go and do an exorcism without a proper investigation.
Yeah.
And so, in one sense, I do understand what this guy is saying, what this priest is saying, especially in the non-denominational church that I'm in. It's basically a Baptist church. It's power of Jesus and only Jesus, and we need to cast away anything that is considered sin or dark or evil. But when it comes to heresy, like, the important thing is the core belief. Trusting that Jesus is God and believing that he is Lord and Savior is the most important thing. For me, being a Christian, doing like the prayer of Saint Michael, that's a no. I don't communicate with angels. I don't typically reach out to spirits for help or other deities. But that doesn't keep me from studying the occult, because I talk to a lot of people within the field. And we do a whole show on the paranormal. And that is something that I've never felt conviction of. It's something that I feel like when I'm in the church, people have questions, and a lot of pastors and priests, they don't have answers to it, but I do, which is really great. And I'm able to lead them to a understanding. And I think that's important, because you have to have an understanding of some of these things in order to avoid them. You have to understand what they are and what they're capable of doing. Because I think, like, consider the Ouija board. I used to mess with that all the time as a kid until I had a bad experience, opened doors that shouldn't have been opened.
Right.
And I didn't realize it. I didn't understand it. But now that I have understood that, now that I get it, I can help lead people better, and remind them, like, hey, this could be dangerous. There's nothing specifically wrong with it, but it could be dangerous and something you need to be cautious of.
Yeah. Excellent answer. Here's where I was immediately left off upon first encountering that video and listening to it and all that fun stuff. As a Catholic, I didn't really take Zoe's approach that it was from fear necessarily, although I understand your take on that. Eric is a little bit closer to my approach, but at the same time, I also see a flaw in the argument. And the flaw is, as a paranormal investigator, as a guy who, forgive the advertising, as a guy who actually does go into the stuff, who has helped former Satanists realize peace, mostly thanks to JJ, I might add, in that particular thing.
A white witch.
Yeah, she's a light worker, which is, again, technically heretical. let me see if I can call up this one little thing, and I will read it to you because it is a bit of a slog, and I won't let you won't make you read it. But I asked I used AI, which I'm also not supposed to do apparently. Actually, it depends on who you ask. It's kind of
You
weird.
got to go to confession this week, bro. I'm telling you
Oh,
right
oh
now.
yeah, no, I full on am anyway. But so I asked, is ghost hunting for us secular lay people a sin? Paranormal investigation, and the short answer is no, but yes, if you seek money and fame and all that fun stuff. If you're doing it to help people, it's cool. Okay, so that kind of takes the priest's argument apart a little bit for me in that video. It goes on to say that the risk of occult contact, well, I kind of, protect myself anyway. They warned that attempting to communicate with spirits via EVP and voice boxes and all that fun stuff could inadvertently open doors and or influence to demonic entities. And that certain demons, and this is the pure focus. They always go to the demonic, which is I found super fascinating because I've seen my share of spirits and they're not demonic. They're dead people, who haven't moved on or couldn't cross over or had unfinished business or what have you.
Right.
So I found that interesting. The first worry is the risk of occult contact. The second is the distinction of authority between the church's legitimate investigations, usually into demonic possession and or miracles happening, and that us lay people lack ecclesiastical, I messed that word up, authority and oversight. So I get it. We're not operating within their guidelines, but at the same time, they don't research and investigate what I research and investigate, per se. I mean, there's a little bit of overlap, but not really. And then, interestingly, right out of my reference, which is the encyclopedia, and I don't use it all the time, just something on a shelf in the back room, but it's the only occult reference I have in my house. It's called the Encyclopedia of Witchcraft, or the Witch Book, or I can't remember now. And it says, this is kind of what the Witch Book says, motivation matters. And here's where they talk about curiosity versus genuinely wanting to help people. Seeking knowledge for curiosity or entertainment's sake is often criticized and considered spiritually dangerous and or a sin. Whereas investigating the phenomena to protect others from genuine spiritual problems or to even confirm the divine, which I've never done, but spiritual problems for sure, is seen as potentially charitable. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'll go first here. I do think a lot of this is based on denominational stuff too, because there are a lot of branches of the Christian church in particular.
Yeah.
And so depending on the denomination, some of this changes a little bit. I've always come to the understanding that if I am out, like now I do paranormal investigations. Justin and I have talked about this plenty of times. If I'm out seeking answers for myself, something that should be okay. So as a Christian, I should focus and trust in God to deliver answers and deliver me to whatever it is His greater purposes. So if I'm out there seeking answers that He hasn't given me, well, now I am switching the authority. I'm starting to trust my belief and my understanding into other beings, other entities, and that could become sinful. Now, one thing I do want to mention regarding ghosts and demons is, for a long time I did believe that all ghosts were demons. And it was through investigation, through meeting other individuals who've helped me to see otherwise. And there's a couple of things that happen or that have been stated in scripture that are interesting.
Yeah.
There are two passages in which Jesus mentions a ghost and himself. It's when he's walking on water and he says to the disciples, "I am not a ghost, it is I." And then there's another moment when Jesus comes back from the dead and he says, "Look, I am not a spirit, I have flesh and bone."
Yeah.
In both instances, he doesn't condemn the disciples for believing he's a ghost. He doesn't say, sorry, ghosts aren't real, they're just demons. He just says, "I'm not a ghost," which
Yeah.
signifies, in my belief, that there are actual human spirits that do roam the earth for one reason or another. I
Right.
don't know the answer to that. I don't know why. But I think that those two passages in particular are very strong in stating that not everything is demonic. And unfortunately, the church has used fear quite a bit. And maybe not purposely. It's how many of us were raised in the church. It's how many of us, like as someone who has an association religion, they were pretty adamant on like how everything is evil if not following Christ and His word specifically, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, it's all it's very complicated to say the least.
Right.
But I do think there's plenty that says like, no, there's much more out there than just demonic entities roaming around.
Yeah. I agree. Others? David? Zoe?
Zoe, go ahead, Zoe.
Okay. Could you re-summarize your question exactly?
Oh, sure. I just want to know your thoughts because after I read that little excerpt on what, I asked the internet for a basic answer to, am I committing a sin as a paranormal investigator? Being a paranormal investigator and having these references that this priest says I should burn immediately and rebuke. Well, I think as... So I just wanted to know, basically...
Whoa!
We okay?
I just saw a cat ass.
Sorry.
That's all right. I just wasn't expecting. I wasn't prepared for that.
I understand your question too.
Okay.
Okay. Well, short answer is, I don't think it's heretical.
Okay.
However, obviously, everything about me is probably heretical. So, and so I would say, if you look at the seven sins,
Mhm.
I would, if you look at the seven sins, I have found that these are qualities that are baked sort of into the human condition. So I think, and I have nothing to cite for this, but this is just my thought because I was actually thinking about the seven sins like a few weeks ago for some like D&D stuff, and I think what I noticed about them and what resonated with me was that, like, if you were to follow an avoidance of these, or to kind of meet the standard of like not sinning, you were kind of being, I guess, the ideal human, the ideal leader, right? And so I imagine that these probably stemmed from something pre-Abrahamic, and I'm a huge like fan and like follower of like the Vedic traditions, and if you look at the story of the Ramayana, Ram is like this idealized version of a leader, and so there's many stories that come from thousands of years prior that kind of follow this trope. So kind of my point in saying all that is, it would be nearly impossible in a realistic sense to not sin like perfectly according to what the actual sins are. I think it's kind of a paradox where being a person itself is already like in sin, which I guess goes with like the whole thing, you're born in sin, but like Jesus died for it, so then you were absolved. And I don't think people are born evil or sinful, but I think the idea is that, for example, pride is a very base sin. And so the stemming manifestation of pride is ego, but you literally need ego to survive and to like exist here. You have to identify with something about yourself as a person. You have a name. We have personality, right? And especially in our modern world, modern culture, ego and
even ancient culture. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Is ego and personality is kind of a very like valued but also very idealized thing. And so, you know, in order to like be successful in many industries or facets, it's about being like, everyone wants authenticity and somebody who's real and who's themselves and like is personable, and every part of that is technically stems from ego, which of course is a product of pride. So it's more of a matter of like, where does that pride, where does that wrath, where does that, you know, envy, all these things, where do they lead to, and where do your actions carry you? So yeah, I obviously I don't think it's heretical to investigate, because there's things that are existing all around you at all times. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not is fine. It's up to you. But we share space with other beings that we just can't comprehend, and they see us, we see them, and well, we're going to be seeing a lot more of them soon too. So
if you believe, like July 11th or something like that, we're all gonna get a real up close and personal. That's the general prediction anyway.
Well, I just think that, you know, you gotta, I think just being like with understanding yourself better is the first step to that. And I feel like that's something that's like really hard personally. So yeah, so I'll pass it to David, because I will talk.
I'll catch it. The short answer, Tim, you're a heretic. All right?
Okay.
That's what it is. That's the truth. And that's me from my like 15-year-old, very, very devout Catholic. That is where it starts. It's like, no, just no. You shouldn't be doing this. You're asking for demonic presence, you know, all that stuff. Yeah. I'm no longer a Catholic. I was extremely devout, and I went the opposite. I read the Bible from cover to cover. Man, if the guy from the Old Testament was still around, wow. Okay. But he's not, apparently. If you go to reading the whole book, it transformed me into an atheist immediately after reading that. I was appalled by a lot of what I read. A lot of the stuff that you go to church for, they do not talk about. It's not brought up. So another thing is I started to do research on it, and every book I ever read on it, it kind of opened a door into questioning this. And I really believe you need to question everything. What very strict Catholic guidelines are, don't question it. That's where the story of Adam and Eve come from. Do not go to the tree of knowledge. Do not educate yourself. Stay, ignorant. Stay unintelligent. That you're gonna be happier that way. So that's, I think I did the opposite of that. Mm-hmm. I took a bite of that apple, and I found things I did not like. I'm no longer an atheist. I'm somewhere in the middle. I would say more of an agnostic. I don't disrespect you guys for your beliefs or anything like that. I think that's great. If it does you good, that's great. But you have to realize at some point you're bending those theories or ideas to benefit how you live your life. That's why there's so many different there's Catholicism, there's Baptist. That's why there's so many different, because they bend the Bible to what their will. Yeah. How they view the world, right? So it's okay if you're going to say it's okay. That's fine. Just know that what your belief system is, you're fracturing it to a certain degree. And then if you look at the Bible itself, if you go and really look at it, going from King James edit and all the books that were removed, going even further back, the people that wrote these scriptures, they a lot of the people that would copy them didn't even know how to read or write. They just copied what they saw, and it was copied hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and a lot of the text was lost. A lot of the actual meanings were lost. For example, when you hear "you must fear God," that's wrong. That's an incorrect translation. You're not supposed to fear God. You're supposed to respect God. That's the actual translation, is respect, not fear. But you have all these people saying, I'm a God-fearing man. You shouldn't fear someone who is loving and caring, and you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of misinformation, which is hilarious to say today. But it's been that way for a very long time. You got to really look at what your belief system is. You have to really question. I have a lot of questions about Jesus. That was the last thing I held on to as I was leaving. That was my favorite character myth that I held on to. It's a myth. To me, it's a myth. I'm not even sure he existed anymore at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very troubling but it doesn't hurt. I'm not afraid of it. I used to be afraid of this. What if he doesn't exist? What if it doesn't matter? You don't have to have the 7 deadly sins to be a good person in your life. You don't have to have those 10 commandments to be a good person. Not to murder. Not to steal. Those are things you should have been brought up on. Those are things you should understand. You don't need the Bible to do it. And that's why I think if you like doing this, Tim, I don't think you're a heretic. I think you're a good man. I know the work you've done, and you've actually helped people. That's what this is all about, is helping people. And that's where I come from.
With regard to the myth thing, I found that an interesting statement. There's been a lot of very, very recent archaeology and anthropology that actually proved that Jesus was a real person. So I found that very interesting.
Yeah,
Your statement.
I still stand by it because everything that they're coming out with, where is the actual proof? Where is the actual stuff? If it was a big thing, we would already be hearing about it on every news outlet.
Would we?
The facts.
Because we can dive into conspiracy theory if you really want to, in that, we're being filtered in our media sources. So, which I don't necessarily trust on either side of the aisle, but I go to independent sources all the time just because.
Then is it real? What's real anymore?
Well, real is, there is a truth out there, man. I feel that there is, and it's not all being covered. It's horrible because nowadays, and it happened to me maybe 6 months ago, where there was this news story, and then I heard about it from another source, and then I heard about it from another source. These are mainstream sources initially, and then I heard about it from a couple of independent sources, and all of them had parts of the story. Right. It was when you took everything and you kind of had a Venn diagram, all the circles interacting at that point in the center where everything gelled, that you finally got the real story. And months later, it bore out, and all these different sources said so. What was in the middle, where those things overlapped, was the actual truth. So, yeah, it is out there. It's hyper obscured, especially in today's, world, where we have so many news sources, a 24-hour news cycle. You can barely keep up on anything. And there's only like 3 or 4 things being really kind of covered, not only by the mainstream, but the independents are starting to follow that too, which is upsetting to say the least. But
Sherry knows what I'm talking about.
I'll argue, I live in Cleveland, Ohio, and when I do watch the news, all it is bad after bad after bad, murder after murder after murder.
Yeah.
If that's the case, if all I'm doing is following that particular news source, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing but evil in the world. There's good doesn't exist because all they share is the bad.
Yeah.
And it completely outweighs the good. So, it's definitely got to consider all the various news sources, because I do think there's an agenda. I think there is.
I agree.
some fear mongering out there for a reason.
For sure.
It's going to continue to build that way. It's just going to get stronger, unfortunately.
It's a financial gain. That's what the game is, right? They're trying to get as many viewership that they can
Yeah.
to get that beautiful dollar, man. To get that dollar, and whatever sells is what's going out. I don't watch the news anymore because of that. It's just absolutely depressing.
I hear you.
But,
Ignorance can be bliss. That also speaks to something else you said earlier. But yeah, I mean, when we were talking about Adam and Eve in the garden, don't eat the apple of knowledge, because, well, hey, ignorance is bliss, and they found out the hard way, following that story anyway.
Right. But I mean, on that story, do you believe that two people can populate the earth?
I found that interesting. Yeah, I
You can't.
probably.
It's
From
impossible.
a scientific what we understand today, probably not.
No.
If there was a Garden of Eden, and it was bigger than what we were led to believe, there could have been multiple couples. If you want to go that route,
right? But that's not the story. I mean, the baby mama was also the mama.
If you look at various cultures across the globe, they all have a very similar myth, a very similar origin story. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them.
I would subscribe to the idea that we were brought here.
Ancient alien theory.
Yeah, I would sooner believe that than Adam and Eve and possibly Steve got together and had a whole bunch of kiddos and then had kids with those kiddos. Which, I mean, now we're talking about the Epstein class. Okay. So
I will say I'm going to stand for the argument of Adam and Eve, because, like, in the beginning, Adam and Eve were designed like God. They had a bigger spark of divinity, and so our bodies were potentially different back then and capable of much more, and they lived way longer. And we could see that through Scripture, that as time went on, evolution diminished our lifespan. It made more illnesses come into being. It made the bodies weaker, and they broke down. So I think there is a strong possibility that two people could potentially populate the entire Earth, especially when you're considering, like, genetics didn't play the same role as they do today. They weren't as corrupt. And so even if children were, having sex with their siblings or whatever and populating, it didn't have the same effect as it does today, with the way geneticism has just broken down and deteriorated over time due to sin. And the popularization of just the quote unquote evil that has influenced the world. And of course, I don't mean evil as in literally, us going, people killing people, but just this dark seed that was planted when Adam and Eve supposedly sinned.
right.
But you can't be.
See a kitty cat.
That is a beautiful cat, by the way. That is
I
a
like
beautiful
your cat. I miss having cats.
It's a big.
I can't subscribe to that because there's too many. I have a lot of respect for what you said, and it does make some sense. But how do we prove that? It's
Excuse me.
an impossibility. You have to have faith.
Well, and that's the whole point, though, too, when it comes to believing in God and the Christian faith in particular. Any faith, really, you got to have faith.
Right. Exactly. I don't have faith in that. I don't think that's a real thing. I honestly, if you look at the Bible itself, I was so disappointed. Let me tell you, it was a struggle to read and to understand and to figure out that, oh my God, this was literally written by 1,000 maniacs. That's true. What? No. And it was a troubling thing for me. I went through a very serious depression when I came to the understanding and realization that this might not be real. At least for me. Like I said, for you guys,
Go ahead.
This is what I believe. If it helps you and you benefit from it, I'm 100% behind you. I'm not trying to tell anyone that what their belief system is wrong. That's not what I'm about. I just went and saw it for myself. Yeah. I researched it for myself. This is what I came out with. I found that I was indoctrinated into this. My parents were indoctrinated into this. So I had to come to this conclusion on my own. And it was very disconcerting for me, but I'm over it on the other side of it. And I've deconstructed this for myself. This is what I believe now. And I like this belief. And I feel I'm a better person than I was back then. I have removed hate from my body, from my soul, from my There was a time I didn't even believe in a soul. Let me just say that. Okay.
Wow.
After all this, I was like, their soul cannot be real. But I am back to that belief. I have a different understanding of what the universe and what God is. And I think that everyone here is a piece of the divine. I believe this. I believe that we are all, every soul is a drop of the divine. And so I would treat every one of you as if you were exactly like me, like God, and so I love you guys. I love you guys. All right.
I love you too, brother.
That's how I look at the world now. And I like that better than the way I used to be and what I believed before. And it just troubles me that there's so many different branches of Christianity. Why is that?
Well, yeah, that's an excellent question. Maybe we can dive into that to a degree. I wouldn't mind that at all. That'd be great. I know that. Well, there's also interesting motivations for these different branches of Christianity. For example, they're
humanity.
So I mean, and I was going to say Lutheranism, but I mean, because that's a branch off, and then there's the oh gosh, what was last Sunday?
Memorial Day?
Huh?
Memorial Day?
It was Memorial Day. You're right. No. It's a Catholic celebration. Perhaps a Christian celebration.
Easter?
Gosh.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, I'm a good Catholic. I can't remember what the holiday was. But yeah.
So not Easter.
No. Technically Easter ended on this Sunday. Like there's a longer celebration of Easter in Catholicism.
No idea.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Jesus returns from resurrection, and he goes to his apostles and says, because they've been in hiding since his death, because they don't want to get killed themselves. So they've been in hiding. He finds them and says, "Hey, I'm back. Here's your next assignment. Spread the word." And there's a name for it. It's like apostolate. Oh gosh. If anyone happens to know out in the chat, let me know. My brain just took it. Sorry?
Is it Pentecost Sunday?
It is. Well,
Pentecost.
Pentecost, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, gosh, I had the local bishop in my church and everything. I completely forgot that. Anyway, so so Pentecost. There's just the Pentecostals. It starts there, So you're not wrong. Different branches of Catholicism and Christianity kind of picked up at a certain point. So I found that very, very interesting. Would it be ethical for me to get into a romantic relationship with a Sasquatch? You do you. I'm not here to judge.
Report back to us, okay? We'd love to hear about it.
Consensual.
The things that pop up in chat are just root vegetable. Thank you very much. That was fun. Yeah, and Sherry, going back to what David said, that there was, it kind of lends to what Justin and David said about early springs of humanity being potentially incestuous. But if you believe what Justin said, that our genetics were more pure back then, it didn't really matter, and we could breed like cats and bunnies and stuff like that without any genetic degradation.
Right. What Eric
potentially
said.
He's right. I see, and that's kind of where I land with the written word, because one, it's incomplete because we have a Bible in Ethiopia that has been untouched by all these rules, and it is this thick. I'm not kidding. It's almost a foot thick, and they kept everything in, and from way back. And there's books I never even heard of in there. Up until very recently. And I can't even begin to give you an example because I'm a little Swiss cheese right now. I had a very poor night's sleep. Anyway, enough about my problems. So, and now I forgot my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, okay, the word. it's incomplete. For me, it's incomplete. That we have bits and pieces, and I understand we can't write every minute of everything, that because that book would be hundreds of volumes, if not thousands.
Right.
I get that. What I see though are missing parts, even with the Ethiopian Bible, which is again huge,
Right.
and way more complete than the Bible I have back here somewhere, and even more. It's just amazing. So I do find incompleteness in the written word as written by man. So what I find myself doing as a newly returned individual to the church is I try and take my own. I try to receive directly from the Spirit, if you will, what it is for me to be Catholic, and I have to admit that up until intermittently in the last 2 months, I have found I don't like going to mass that much.
I'm
It's a
right there
horrible
with
thing
you.
to say, but I don't like going to mass that much because it sounds like, for me, it feels, and I'm going to use emotion here, but it feels like not everyone in the room is on the same path that I'm on, that I expect everyone to be on. Okay, so maybe that's a little bit selfish on my part, but I feel like they're just going through the motions, and it means more to me. So, and I'm actually going to talk to my priest about that this Sunday or this Saturday, but and see what's going on and what he has to say, if anything.
I think it has a lot more to do with you than it does, because and Eric and Zoe might find this to be the truth, is that everyone has their own path that they use this for, and a lot of it's not on the up and up. You're going to find a lot of people. I have met a ton of very devout church-going people who are the most horrible human beings I've ever met in my entire life.
Same.
That's a fact. So I think it doesn't matter if the book was perfect. It doesn't matter how long the book is. It doesn't matter. It was written by men, and men are the problem. They're going to branch it out into their own system of beliefs and how they view it, and they're going to use it for their agenda. And I think that's the issue. It's just about being a good person at heart. To me, that's what it was always about back then, is to try to be a good person at heart. I used to want to bring the science, because I love science.
Same.
And say the story of Noah. I wanted to bring them together. I wanted to find the ark and understand that this is how it worked. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. There's no plane on which that works, unfortunately. You can, go ahead.
I was going to say, I will cite that again in multiple cultures around the world.
Yep.
The exact same story is told. So perhaps we only know of one story, when in fact there are multiple stories that accomplish this.
Well, they say that
but there's another version of that too. The Hopi Indians, for example, they didn't build an ark; they went underground. How's that supposed to help them in the flood?
Not great as far as breathing. That would be terrible.
I mean, if there was an air system or something like that, or there was a chimney, something, I don't know. But
when they did that, they died.
I mean,
they did that. They did not. Most of them did not survive. But I would say this: if they say that the ark landed in Egypt somewhere.
No, Mount Ararat, Turkey.
Okay, so Turkey, close.
Yeah.
How did those animals disperse all the way around the world, man? If you had a koala or a kangaroo travel from there all the way down to Australia somehow and made it, you would find evidence of that whole stretch all the way to Australia. You would find kangaroo carcasses here and there and everywhere. You don't. Why? Because it didn't happen.
Well, it's the same with evolution too. Like how many Darwinism people, it's like, oh, evolution existed, and yet we don't have any evidence whatsoever that there's a true macroevolution.
Right.
There's nothing proven that humans came from gorillas or apes. There's such thing as microevolution, where it's like, certain animals might adapt to their environment based on changes. But we don't see them sprouting wings and flying off into the night, you know?
Yeah.
Cryptid, perhaps. But
Yeah, well,
evolution is definitely a theory. So is gravity. Gravity is also a theory.
true.
And I'm not going to go on a tall building and jump off to test it. You know what I'm saying? They're theories, but
Proven.
I mean, to some degree, you can measure evolution.
Yeah.
You can see evolution. I mean, I think there's some truth to it, but that's just my belief. I can see where religion would think, no, that's not accurate, you know. But I get it. I totally understand that.
Gotcha.
If I could make a comment on what you're saying, Tim, about being in church and like feeling like it matters more to you than like the people just passively going out of tradition or habit or image. I mean, and I think it's great. You're going to talk to your priest, but Jesus in the New Testament, anyways, said God's presence is not bound to a physical location, and it is instead found within individuals and communities.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that just goes to serve, like, you know, no need to punish yourself for not feeling like that.
It's not so much that I'm punishing myself; it's that I'm disappointed in those around me, and maybe that's bad. But I'm feeling like I'm only, with very few exceptions, I'm the only one there for the right reason. Because, like you said, it seems like some of these folks are just there going through the motions.
I'll tell you what, like, I feel you on that, because like I went to school, a place called Liberty University down in Lynchburg, Virginia, Christian university, and my whole heart was set on, like, I'm gonna learn about the film world, you know, from a Christian perspective. And I got there, and like everything I believe was put to the test. Like, I was so just depressed because of how people handled themselves and treated themselves. You know, sex in the elevator, drunk every single night, you know, all this debauchery, and it's like completely destroyed everything that I believed. And it really put me through the motions, and I walked away from the church for a while because of that.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel it, because, like, you know, those people, they speak louder through their actions and the way their energy is compared to those who are actually like us, who are there for the right reasons. And we don't always see those people, unfortunately, because we're so in tune to that negativity around us.
Fair point.
It just speaks louder. So, you know, I definitely wouldn't feel like I get where you're at, but I would also consider, like, there are people there who are in the same boat as you and probably feel the same way as you do as well.
Oh, I would be remiss if I thought differently. That would, you know, I can probably guarantee that is exactly the case. I just haven't met them.
I would say what you're going to hear when you talk to your pastor or priest or whatever it is, he's going to tell you, you need to worry about yourself. You need to worry about yourself and work on yourself. And if you feel like you have the word in you, then go and preach to them. Go talk to them. Tell them they're doing wrong. See how that gets you, buddy, because that's not gonna. Don't worry about them, bro. That's what
I'll tell you. I'll tell you right now. I have zero interest in being a deacon.
Exactly.
Just because it does not appeal to me at all.
Keep helping people like you're helping people out there who need it to reach out to you. I think that's what you're. That's what you're here for, bro. Seriously, you do a great job with that.
And I don't do it every day in person, so I do it here as best as I can.
Right.
So I agree with that assessment, actually. I am here. I'm not helping. I'm not benefiting from having, for instance, that text in the other room. It's a reference. And I don't necessarily agree with the priest's complete, you know, wash it all away.
Complaint, assessment, whatever. I agree with
his
you.
assessment. Yeah,
it's reference. It's a reference. Simple as that. And it
it's
helps.
something I have on occasion relied upon to better understand my clients to one degree or another, or their issues even. So
I think to some degree you're probably helping people more than the priest is, this exorcist perhaps, because some of them don't end well. Some exorcisms do not end well, unfortunately.
That's true. True enough. Root's going off on his own little conversation. That's kind of interesting. In the chat. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much for that. Guys, we're going to take a short 2-minute break. We're going to do some station identification, a couple of commercials. So let's do that, and we'll jump back into this very interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to it. See y'all in 2 minutes. This is the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 in the Gulf Coast. UPRN talkradio.com. Esoteric programming at its finest.
Long ago in the ancient world, the Trebus Omnes Lux, later known as the Tridents, were celebrated heroes, defenders of humanity against unspeakable monsters. Today, they continue that sacred duty in secret, hunting the dark evils that lurk just beyond the shadows. They are the Trident of Light.
Introducing Story TV, enabling true creative freedom for independent creators. Search an ever-growing library of fantastic festival winners, including Blaney Tucker's Ghost and the Monster Hunters of the TOL. Free to enjoy at lower resolutions. Pay $5 per month for 1080 and full K presentations to support the artists you enjoy. Your monthly contribution actually goes to the filmmakers themselves. Support independent film. Support Story TV. Check out our Patreon. Get deeper behind-the-scenes insights. Also, tips into being a better paranormal investigator and other fascinating content. Follow us on Instagram at paranormal.insight. Stay informed on upcoming shows, see what paranormal trends we're following, and help us reach 50,000 followers by liking, following, and sharing. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at paranormal_insight. Click the live tab to see our latest videos. And we're back. Welcome back, everyone. We've been talking about whether or not paranormal investigation, among other things, is heresy in religion. So far, we've arrived to the conclusion that it is chiefly not, unless you're looking to be, Zach Baggins. Sorry, Zach. Zach has had a few things go wrong in his life. That's all I'm saying.
Right?
He's literally asked for it.
Yeah. So, one thing I wanted to mention, I see a kitty cat. It's okay, kitty.
Wants your attention, man.
Yeah.
It does.
For sure. Sherry has a quick question before I get into that part. Just wondering if there's a particular thing or event that led you back to the church. I guess you weren't there for that part, Sherry. There was. I was writing a script. Very briefly, I'll recap that. I was writing a script writer, filmmaker guy. That's me. And in the script, there was a priest who was involved in an exorcism. And doing all this research prior to my, I had a Catholic background anyway, and so I figured, hey, I'm knowledgeable. I wasn't. I had to do a lot of research and really dig up a lot of stuff. Even when it came to Kim realizing at one point where a certain psalm came into being, and I knew it was in there, but I couldn't remember which one it was. So I had to dig around to figure that out. And as I was doing all this research and writing this script out, I was touched. And I was so touched, I returned to the church about 2 months ago. So, I want to clarify one thing. I am not down on myself for being a paranormal investigator at all. And I continue to help people anyway. And like I said before we took the break, I think the priest has a certain path he's trying to keep people on, but I don't think that necessarily applies to my situation. because I am not a practitioner of witchcraft, for example. I am not a practitioner of anything except really Catholicism, especially now. But I'm also an investigator. That was my training, my background. That's everything I did as a young man to now. So that's what I continue to do. And that's where we stand. That's where I stand anyway. So now that we've more or less cleared that up, we have another hour to kind of talk about some other things that at least kind of relate to this. And that is where we have certain religions that really just whole hog dive into the spirituality of spirituality in general. I'm thinking, first thing that popped in my head was the practice of voodoo, the practice of Santeria, the practice of, and Santeria is kind of interesting because it actually straddles voodoo and Catholicism. It's really intriguing concept as far as religion goes. So where do we stand on that? Are they being, is it because you have to be brought up in that line of thought that you can't really, can you wrap your head around that type of thing? I mean, personally, I find it fascinating, like from an anthropological / research perspective. Would I practice that as an alternative? Probably not. So, where do we stand on, say, voodoo, on Santeria, on whatever else comes to your mind?
It's cool. That's where I stand. I mean, it's just another religion. I guess what I would ask the group also is that, do you think it's real? Like, can these things that they do, like bring the dead back to life or whatever? Can they do these things? Can they put curses on people? Do y'all believe in that?
It depends on your take. For example, you were talking about science and where science proves a lot of things earlier. In voodoo specifically, and I might be mispronouncing it because I hear it's also pronounced voodoo, but it also depends on which region of the world you come from. Anyway,
There's also hoodoo, which is,
and hoodoo is a different, yeah, that's actually the magic of it. It's kind of interesting. But getting back to what I was saying, there was a guy, I think maybe I've told this story before, but at the risk of repeating myself, this is about 20 years ago, give or take. There's this guy who suddenly popped up out of nowhere. He had been missing for years. Wow. And the authorities say, oh, we found this guy in Haiti. And he was a tourist or a businessman, maybe. Yeah, he was a businessman that disappeared down there a few years prior. And everyone presumed he was dead because they couldn't find hide nor hair of him. Then he shows up and he's kind of logy and kind of out of it. But he remembers certain things. And he says, yeah, my Julietta, or I'm making up a name. I don't remember what you say. But he mentions his wife's name. The police track it back. They say, oh, is this so-and-so? We found your husband. What? He's dead. That's, everything we have says he's not. He's sitting in my office and he's emaciated and we haven't, so we found him. And what turns out to have happened was there was a series of voodoo practitioners that had kidnapped him. He was essentially hypnotized as a zombie. Right? Yeah. Brought into that state, and he was made to do all kinds of hard labor. When they found him, his hands were so calloused and cut up and scarred, his arms, even parts of his chest, he was made to carry big rocks and stuff. Hard labor. And when he was finally rescued, because I guess they did a raid and shut down this operation, this illegal operation this group was involved in, he was super skinny, like they barely fed him. They barely gave him any water to survive. And he didn't even look like himself compared to his original photo where he was just kind of like me, little plump maybe, and, happy, jovial little guy. And he was just emaciated, right? and he barely looked like himself at all. And as they continued to do therapy with him, he said, yeah, that's right. We were meeting with someone because we had to talk to them about property rights or something like that. And they fed us a local dish. And I remembered everything tasted a little off, but you know, you don't want to be insulting and say, this is really freaking horrible. I don't want to eat it. So he eats something, and it ended up being something along the lines of blowfish poison, or was laced with it.
Wow.
And that's what it was that made him forget everything and put him into that trance-like state. But yeah. So a decade, this guy disappears for roughly a decade and comes back, and it turns out he was hypnotized the whole time. But in their tradition, they called it zombieism.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you reminded me. I was trying to look it up. So there's a story about Michael Rockefeller. You guys familiar with this?
Keep going.
So he disappeared, like in the 20th century, like early, and he was like 23, and the son of Nelson Rockefeller, and essentially he traveled to New Guinea, and like just went missing for like years, and like essentially they had done that where they like essentially, long story short, they zombified him and killed him basically in the end, and it's just like a crazy like story about that. You just reminded me of it. So
there's several stories like that apparently, from the Haiti police, and I guess maybe the African Congo area too, where they keep finding these people like out of nowhere. You've been missing for 10 years. Really? Okay, thanks.
Well, it all
times.
comes back to human trafficking. You know, it's like
Yeah, it is a form of that, isn't it?
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And nowadays they just don't care. They'll just yank you up and yada yada. But this is a paranormal channel, and we'll stay away from that for now.
Yeah, I don't believe in it, but I would not eat the soup. I wouldn't take a chance on messing with that stuff. There's a deity that is big in Mexico. I live in San Antonio, Texas, so I've heard about this, and I've heard a couple of stories that are, it's very interesting. It's called the Santa Muerte, which is like Saint Death.
Saint Death. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be a figure that looks like the Virgin Mary, but skeletal.
Oh, sure. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't believe in a lot of that. Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
But I've heard some stories. I didn't really believe in it, but the stories I heard were outrageous. Like, you're supposed to, if you make any kind of offering, if you ask for anything, you will get it. Like, I've heard a lady tell me, if I want money, if I want someone to love me, if I want power, whatever it is, I can get it. If I pray to God, because she says, I believe in God. But if you pray to God, you might not get it, or it'll take a long time or whatever. You pray to the Santa Muerte, it'll get there to your doorstep,
Overnight.
No matter what it is. Yeah, but you have to offer something in return.
And is the offer pretty steep?
See, I don't want to even know about that, because I'm not praying to this thing.
Yeah.
But I've heard stories where they didn't offer, and a completely horrible thing. Like, it comes in threes. Like, she will punish you in threes, and none of them is good. It's all terrible.
Okay.
And you have to offer something, or else you're screwed out of luck, right? Right. But yeah, this was something, I don't believe in it, but I'm not testing that at all. Zero. I'm not messing with
It's
it.
probably smart.
But it's kind of spooky. It's a spooky little story.
It also goes to not only belief but intention, and this is something else that both I've recently found that the Catholic belief and the witchcraft belief both believe in intention, which I found super fascinating. My eyes are really opened on that part.
Yeah.
So I think we're dealing with that to a degree with regard to that story, to that incident.
Can I ask you, Tim, and
Sure.
and to some extent Zoe as well, because the person one of my best friends. What is now that you're back in the fold?
Mm-hmm.
What is your approach to her?
To JJ?
Yes, that she's a witch.
She's she's also to a degree Christian.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think she believes
she
in it.
refers to the Bible all the time.
Yeah.
And she finds solace in it.
But what would the people in the church think of her?
It depends, really. It depends on the hardcore types. And one interesting thing I found about the Catholic Church recently, and it kind of blew me away, is at least here in America, at least here in my neck of the woods, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Has been very, what's the word? Open. They changed some words so they don't offend people, and they've been very accommodating.
Wow.
I guess is the word. Very open, way open. It's like, wow, that's impressive. That's really cool. So I've been surprised, pleasantly to a degree. But at the same time, I go, wow, the church has really changed since 40 years ago. So
They've been forced to, because there's been a large drop in in people who still believe in church. I think the newest group, what is it, Generation Alpha or whatever it is, from Gen Z to Gen Alpha, it's been a major drop.
But there's a lot of people returning now.
Yes, but they're
it's interesting.
Like Gen Xers.
We're the guys on the way out, Xers. I'm Gen Xer. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. But it's dropping, and it's a significant drop. Come back 20 years from now, and it might even be bigger than that. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I really don't. But I like everything good that the church does, like helping people, find out about themselves. I love all that stuff. Yeah. It's all the other stuff that is attributed to man, that I do not like, that the mistakes that priests make, or the like this gentleman that you just showed, with his obviously hate for all that stuff. I don't really like all that stuff.
I think he's also jaded to a degree because of his experience as an exorcist. Because he probably dealt with a lot of heavy duty stuff, having to deal with all that. That's why he's so much against
I have a crystal here
so much
somewhere.
So as to put it out there. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have a crystal here. I have a couple of, don't put your heart into that stuff, obviously. But it's not like you, for example, you're using a book.
Sorry. Say that again, please.
You're using a book. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean you're in line.
Well, I'm not a practitioner of magic either. I just want to know where certain people are coming from, because I've had clients who were practicing, and so I need to understand where they're coming from. And a lot of times it was I had this one case, and I've talked about it before. Forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But there was this one guy. He was fresh out of the army. He met his wife, and they had kids over in a foreign country, and he brought them with him. And they were having all kinds of scary stuff, very heavy-duty poltergeist-like stuff. And they were living at his mom's place, not too far from where I live. And he calls me and says, "We got so many problems." And just, as I'm on the phone with him, crash. Oh my gosh, this coffee cup mug just flew off it flew off the counter, man. It's like, okay, I'm on my way. It turns out the mother, who was exceptionally devout Catholic, and I mean pictures of Jesus everywhere, crosses in every room, that kind of thing, I'd already called a priest out to deal with it. And the way he described it, he wasn't necessarily enamored of Catholicism at all, just by his attitude and what he was saying. And he didn't really give it a lot of weight. And by his only word, he says, well, the priest just went zip, zip, zip through the rooms with holy water, get out evil, and left. And was just pretty lickety split. I said, okay, we have a problem then. Because, again, from a paranormal investigative perspective, that energy has already been put into this space as a defense. Okay? The church's energy, the priest came out and did his thing, haphazard or not. I can't do anything. I didn't know JJ at the time, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything different because anything I do is going to be ping pong in between this dark thing you're experiencing and what was left behind by the church.
Right.
And I know that sounds really weird and esoteric and metaphysical to a lot of people out there, but it rings true because I've seen it happen on other cases where it was either iconography or energy or combination of the two.
Mm-hmm.
These two warring factions were present in the house. And in one other case, they had these upside down stars. They were supposed to be paper lanterns, okay? But the mother-in-law came over and spent some time there and put up these upside down stars that point down,
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be paper lanterns. It's supposed to be cute, and they had pretty colors and all that fun stuff. But in every room of the house was a crucifix. I was like, oh, I wonder if that's the solution. And the funny thing was the path of activity followed wherever these paper lanterns are stuck to the ceiling. So I said, I'll tell you what, take down the paper lanterns and let me know if things clear up. Turns out that was the solution in that case. And it worked. We finally had a cohesive energy flowing through the house again, and it worked. And that's energy work. Technically, I should be, what's that called when you kicked out of the church? Excommunicated. But technically there. But I think again we're largely dealing with personal energy and intention when we do these things. So I had to point to all this too. So with regard to that other case where the army guy, he did not want more priests to come in. I said, listen, there's very little I can do. I can confirm your experiences, record things, but I can't get rid of it. And if you do want to get rid of it, you need to get a more serious priest in here to do it. Perhaps even exercise the house, the space, instead of doing the zippity, you're done.
Right.
So, and he did not like that answer. He says, come on, man. I was like, listen, I do not have the tools to get this dark force out. And it was dark, but P.S. And I'm not even close to as powerful as JJ when it comes to sensing these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it made an impression, I'll tell you what. And it didn't like having me there because things were suddenly breaking prior to my arrival even. So, yeah, man, I was not anywhere prepared or skilled enough to deal with it, and he didn't like my answer, and he never talked to me again.
Wow.
Good times. Good times. Anyway, so I kind of lost. I think I took us on a nice little ride there and got off our point. Where were we?
I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that. I love the stories that you tell when you're doing that kind of stuff because I've only done it twice. I've only gone out and did investigation twice.
Oh.
And I always found that the shows you watch, like for example, you had brought up what is that dude's name? I forgot his name.
Baggins.
Yeah, Baggins. Yeah, Frodo. His show. I've never seen one episode of his show, but I've seen clips. And because I've seen clips, I have not watched the episodes. But
probably for the better.
The shows they have, there's something happening every show, man. And so when I went out, the two times I went out, I was expecting something to happen. In the back of my mind, I'm like, nothing's probably going to happen because it doesn't happen every time. And of course, nothing. So I was very disappointed. But it's nice to watch a show and oh wow, this guy got a lot of evidence.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you said you do it, Eric, as well?
Yeah. I don't go out as much as I used to, but before, like early on in our podcast career, we would go out and do a lot of investigations, a lot of local businesses, and it's always pretty slow for the most part.
Yeah.
I think some of the most activity I ever had is we did an investigation at Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood home in Bath, Ohio, and that's where he killed Stephen Hicks.
Okay.
We had some interesting experiences there, but aside from that, like most of it, it's just like you spend 6, 8, 10 hours of absolute nothing except for maybe personal experiences, which is like, oh, I'm feeling a little startled because I'm in this little tight, dark space in the basement, 300 feet away from everybody else, and I don't know what to expect. Right. But yeah, you get these every once in a while. You get these really cool experiences, or you get something on camera, or you get that EVP that's like that Class A EVP.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The first time I heard something say my name over an EVP when I was completely alone was freaking wild, right? But that's not normal. That's not something that happens regularly.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
That happened to me, and I was here, and the investigation was happening in Florida.
Well, you're with 305 on that?
No, actually, it was not 305. It was another. It was South haunted South Florida.
Oh, okay.
They're no longer a thing now, but Gina Black was a part of it.
Okay.
Those guys. What's his name? Dixon. Anyway. So they were asking questions and they were letting it was alive, and they were like, hey, does anyone want to ask a question? I'm like, yes, ask it this, and the question was like, who was the meanest kid in school? It was like a schoolyard or school thing.
Okay.
And they said my name. It said my name as a reaction. Yeah, I was like, oh snap. So
were you the mean kid in school?
Apparently, no. But it's like it's acknowledging you.
Uh-huh.
So strange when you hear your name in one of those things, and they all were freaking out. I was like, "Oh my god, did you hear that?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm not asking any more questions." I have a lot of respect for you guys for your investigation, especially if you do 8 hours or something like that, and you have film and multiple cameras, having to go through every inch of film. Wow, respect.
It helps to take notes when you are aware of activity. And that way you can just zip to that. Or you watch everything at 3 times high speed. Sorry?
What if you miss something that's like really intricate?
Well, what I do anyway, is I have a larger screen I usually watch stuff on, and I watch it in 4 parts, 4 sectors, so I can play it all back at once from the same angle. I use my video editor to help me with that. And I'll watch it at like double speed, so it doesn't quite take as long. And I'll know if it's one of us crossing through. But if I see something anomalous, I can stop, back it up, and then play it at real time. And yeah, you might miss some stuff, but I also keep an eye on the voice oscillation.
Yeah.
So nice. Just in case something crops up, it's like, what? Someone's tapping out.
Zoey, have you ever done anything like that? Zoey?
No, I haven't.
You don't do that anymore?
No, I don't. I have not done that.
We'll investigate the Sears Tower next time I'm in Chicago.
It's not the Sears Tower anymore, is it? It's something
I think
else.
it's something else now, yeah. But Sherry asked a question a while ago. Sherry asked a question about 15 minutes ago. I'm sorry, Sherry. What about mediumship? I don't think the church agrees with that. I think you're correct about that in that assessment. Although, interestingly, I know exorcists actually use, mediums. I guess you would call them church-approved mediums. Those in the faith that are practitioners with the Catholics especially. I think they use. There's actually So the Franciscans typically, that order handles everything spiritual, including exorcisms, investigations, stuff like that. And I think there's a sisterhood branch that actually handles mediumship. Who knew? And mediumship and psychic works and stuff are not, are acknowledged by the church, especially in their saints. I'll give you a great example. One of my favorite saints in the whole world back when I was a kid, and still is, Padre Pio. Padre Pio that guy suffered a lot. He really did. He had the stigmata. So he had it on his hands, his feet, and his side. And he was also surprisingly psychic.
Oh, wow.
He once, this little girl, his mom took a little girl to see him because he was reported to be a healer as well. Actually documented as being a healer, hands-on healer. And what had never really been reported until this little girl showed up was, so her it's a crowd. Okay. He was already kind of famous back in the day. And, his mother and her daughter shows up, and they're there for the little girl because she has an illness that they can't really, one, identify or two, cure. And, so she shows up there, and she's lost in the crowd, and he's just making his way to his chambers, and people were clamoring for him, touching the clothes. He was already almost guaranteed to be canonized as a saint. And then he stops, and he goes something like, I can't remember the kid's name. I want to say Lucia. I could be wrong about that. And he calls her out by name, Lucia, and turns. And makes his way through the crowd to the little girl. He never met her before. There were, no telephone, no letters. I mean, it was way before the internet. So he just zooms in on her. Oh, Lucia's here. I'll handle Lucia today. Da-da-da-da-da. The little girl's cured a couple days later. Ta-da-da-da-da-da. But it was fascinating. He was psychic enough to pick up on her, identify her without ever having seen her before or known of her. I found that to be extra fascinating and forgive the term miraculous. So, okay, that's my Padre Pio story.
That's cool.
Well, don't you think that most of us have the abilities, the mediumship abilities that they're in varying type of levels that
Sure.
So I mean, some people are really gifted with it, some people have it, don't know it, some people it's very, very weak in their system or whatever. But it's another thing where the church looks at something they don't understand, and
what I find in those cases, because there are myriad of them in the more lay public, like me and Eric and you and Zoe, is that when it comes, at least it used to be the case 40 years ago. I really don't know where they stand now. That's why I got to talk to my priest about what's going on, but and what his take is, or what the church's take is. Anyway, for example, a mother, we've all heard this story, sees her kids in trouble, pinned under a car. She lifts the car up. She shouldn't be able to do that. She's 120 pounds soaking wet and doesn't have the strength to lift the car up off her child, but she does.
right.
Some would call that a miracle. Others would say, oh, hyperadrenaline rush. And it's not the first time we see it. It's not just isolated to parent and child. Twins who've been hit. One guy gets hit by a car. The other one says, I got to go see my sister or call her or see what's going on. Because they're states and states and states apart. Or across Europe or whatever the case may be. They know there's a quantum connection there. Some would say quantum connection. Siblings. They have the exact same brains. They're identical every other way. Okay, so others would, at least 40 years ago in the church, we say miracle.
Yeah.
But see, these tiny little miracles and or happenings that appear to be nebulous or weird or, supernatural happen all the time.
Yeah.
So to say it's we all have it, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm empathic. I'm not as strong as JJ by any stretch of the imagination, but I know what it is to be an empath because I experience that all the time. I don't see when I was a little kid, I still do to a degree, but when I was a little kid, I saw auras. They were just, full body halos around people, and I thought everyone could do it, and then I realized not everyone could.
Very interesting. When you ask, could you ask what they think about your saint? Because I feel like they would say, well, that's God speaking through him. That's not mediumship or psychic ability. It's God. And a lot of people are going to accept that. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think that's what it is. I think psychic abilities are a real thing, and mediumship is a real thing, and I think we tend to go towards that and say, okay, well, this exists. It's not heresy. It's not something it's not the demons or what have you. It's not, if it's a saint, well, that's God working through. It's not any of that stuff. I think it's factual that some people have those abilities. And as far as twins are concerned, I like that you use the word quantum with that, like superpositioning kind of thing. That's interesting because, think about it. Sometimes they create their own languages. They're so connected.
Exactly right.
Right. So,
and they can full on communicate that way too.
Absolutely. I love that. I think that's very interesting stuff.
And if you've ever heard twins speak, 9 times out of 10, it's gobbledygook. It's almost like they're talking in tongues to borrow from religion, but they're not. To them, it's English, it's French, whatever it happens to be, and they can hold full conversations in it. Yeah. And it seems to be almost instinctual, which is another interesting thing.
I do want to say, like, when it comes to God-given gifts, what's spirit-inspired or what's, psychic, I think it just really depends on the situation as well. I've talked to so many individuals who say that we're all capable of mediumship if we open that eye within our mind and allow ourselves to communicate.
Right.
I'm not inclined to do that. I'm not good at it. My cousin, on the other hand, Justin, my co-host, he is. He studies that and practices regularly, meditates. But like for a quick example here, back in 2010, I think it was, a woman reached out to me. She was struggling with what she believed was a demonic entity in her upstairs, her second floor. Her and her son would always see it, black mass, red eyes. She described this thing in great detail. I never went and visited, but I was able to work with her and pray with her. And so one night, and I kept this completely secret, I just went to my church. A group of my friends were there. My pastor came over and I said, hey, there's this woman, she's struggling. She would like some prayer, and I was just hoping we can all go around and just do a little prayer for her. And so we did. And a buddy of mine who absolutely does not touch anything paranormal whatsoever. He's scared to death of it. This is a guy who, he was in Iraq for years after 9/11, and he could do that all day, but petrified of anything dark, right? We get done praying, and he comes up to me, he says, dude, I need to share this with you. When we were praying, I had this vision of like this black mass with bright red eyes screaming at us as we're praying. And it's like, was that psychic? Was that the spirit of God reaching through and like showing him a vision of what we were actually doing? Was it the entity who was able to latch on and figure out what's happening and trying to like, dissuade him from doing things or from praying? We don't know. We really don't know. It very well could be spirit inspired by God. It could be psychic. They could be one and the same.
Yeah. I think every individual, and that's a great story. Thanks for sharing that, Eric.
Did it stop? Did it stop after that?
It did. I reached out to her 2 days later, and she said that 2 nights prior, everything cleared in her house. It felt like a energy lifted, and she hadn't witnessed anything. And I reached out 2 weeks after that, and still nothing. So
excellent.
Yeah.
That's
excellent.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. And sometimes it's something as simple as that. Concentrated effort
Mm-hmm.
directed at a single goal. That's fantastic, and that's really, I think, chiefly what is happening when, whether you're in church or not, when you pray or focus or meditate or whatever it is you want to call it. I think that's what's happening. You are putting your energy into a given result or a given aspect of whatever it is you're trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think chiefly now, I'm not saying it's strictly, but it's chiefly that's what it is. Zoe, I'm sure you can relate to this. We're going to be playing D&D really soon. I haven't played D&D in forever. But I mean, that's actually in D&D too. You have to focus certain ideas intentions in order to achieve certain goals in the game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I think
yeah, that is a fun part of the game. Really, it's. I mean, sure, there is an actual game aspect to it. Well, really, it's collective storytelling, right?
Yeah.
And so, as the dungeon master, I will create a sort of framework, and kind of guide. But then from there, it's really up to the players to you're writing. It's like you're writing a character for a show in real time.
Yeah.
And you're embodying that character. And so the irony is that the beauty of it to me is that the way certain things work out that you did not anticipate or you thought would go one way and they go another, and it ends up creating an even better story. So there could be, it's this sort of a synergy between the group.
I was specifically referring to when in the game, when you do, for instance, spell work, you have to actually list and say your intention to the DM in the group on certain aspects of the game.
I mean, technically, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I guess you are sort of doing that.
But it's more literal, and you understand. And that's another thing I found kind of, I don't know, people kind of took a poop on D&D for a while. Because they felt it was idolatrism of some sort or another. I don't agree with that. It's storytelling, like you said, and it's a game. When it comes to, say, the Ouija board as a paranormal investigator,
that's a game. It's a game.
No, sorry, that is
made by a
machine.
game company.
Yeah, I know, and they should be sued out of into oblivion for it, in my personal estimation. And that's before I was like that before I came back to the church. Okay, so no, that's for me. That's a bad news. There is a proper way to handle said board, said game, if you want to call it that. But for my money, it isn't. No,
you should go down the rabbit hole on that. It's amazing.
We should.
With
Mod Girl's here. Hey, Mod Girl. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. With D&D, it's kind of the funny thing is,
I think I mispronounced their name.
I think of it in a sort of kind of storytelling sense, I guess, but also in a partially literal sense, where if you entertain the idea of a multiverse, then you are essentially scrying on this other potentiality that is occurring somewhere within that multiverse. And I as the DM am kind of tuning in to the cat. I have a cat right here too. They're perfectly in sync. You see that?
I miss my cats. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. That brings me another thought, actually. But yeah, so in a sense, you could say that you are scrying on this other story of these people in this other world that's actually happening or happened. And that's where you have an intention as the DM, your player has an intention as their character, but then the dice will tell you otherwise. And so,
it's mechanized fate is what it is.
Well, yeah. And it's almost like, every time you roll that dice, you're scrying, because you can scry with numbers and that as well. And
I find it more mechanical than that, than to call it scrying, from my personal perspective.
Sure.
But go ahead.
Yeah, no. Well, so I'm sure if anybody has had animals before, especially cats, but dogs too, you might find that, and there's been studies done on this, but you might find that they seem to know when you want to do things, when you're going to leave, when you're going to come home. And obviously there are physical tells, like, they know when you're putting your shoes on, or they can hear you pulling up in your car. But, I think there's anybody who has an animal can probably attest to like moments where they just understand what's happening when they really shouldn't. So there's obviously a connection there. But I do have a question.
Sure.
I'm going to direct it to Tim first, but it is going to be for everyone.
Okay.
So I have three words. I'm going to give you the words, and then I'll start with the first one. And so I want to know what they mean to each of you.
Okay.
So the words are false messiah. I guess that's technically two words. Trickster, and the inverse of patience. So false messiah, what does that mean to you, Tim?
For me, a false messiah is someone that creates a primrose path kind of a vibe, or puts something out there that says, whether we're speaking strictly religiously or in a more generalized sense, someone who purports to be a leader for a largely benevolent thing, but ends up being malevolent. That's for me. That's false messiah. What was the second word?
Trickster.
Trickster. I always think of Loki from Norse mythology as an excellent example of that.
Yeah.
And the third one again, please.
The inverse of patience.
The inverse of patience. I've always said this because I am a rather impatient individual. That the practice of patience is a firewall against getting to your objective. So again, I'm an impatient person. I like to. And maybe it's my military background speaking, but get to the goal, get to the next goal, yada, yada, yada. So yeah.
What about
is it a virtue? No, it's a firewall that needs to be overcome.
yeah. So what do those things mean or bring up to you guys, Eric or David?
Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to a false messiah, it's anyone who's trying to proclaim something for God that simply isn't true or doesn't resonate to the truths that have already been shared. So these might be doctrines that are vastly different from what we know from every other religion out there, and maybe are proclaiming something that we typically deem as like being unlawful or dark. And then as for a trickster, I think that's just any type of spirit or person who simply gets their kicks off of messing around with things, like just goofing off. I often think of trickster spirits like poltergeists. They're always being kind of tricky. They're just messing around, and I think that's the big thing there. As for the inverse of patience, I mean, I'm a very patient person until I'm not. And it's like it's really funny because like everyone in my inner circle will be like, oh, he's the most patient person there is, but all it takes is like that one little shove, and it's like, oh, and no longer patient. That's it. So yeah, thankfully I am glad to say that I've become way more patient over the years. My younger years, and I'm 40, so I look younger than I am. But in my 20s, very, very impatient and would just jump to everything, like buy this, buy that, do this, do that. So I do think patience is definitely a virtue.
That reminds me of a thing that the Joker said to Batman, and it was
what are you messing me?
Yeah, he said something along the lines of the only difference between you and me is one bad day. David, what do you think?
I think Eric is a trickster because he don't look 40 at all.
Right?
That's a 20-year-old man I'm looking at. What the heck?
I would not guess 40.
False messiah and tricksters to me are the same thing, I guess. You would think that they are not, I don't want to take it any further than that. Patience is a virtue, essentially, right? And it's something that I still work on, but I'm a lot more patient in my older age than I was what Eric looked like right now. I mean, so much more patient than I was when I was young.
Yeah.
Even in my 40s. I'm the same age as you, Timmy.
Yeah.
We're
We are the same age. And I will admit that I am more patient now, but I still feel that way as I still have that young man's perspective. It's an obstacle. I got to get over it.
You still have a lot of black in your beard, which I'm very envious of. I love it. It's a lot of white here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
I have a question for the group, if you don't mind.
10 minutes.
Your cat.
Go ahead.
Your cat. Lovely cat.
I love you, Katie.
I've always wondered about this, playing video games. You think about thou shalt not kill.
Yeah, interesting, yeah.
I've killed billions and billions of video game people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the people who wrote the commandments didn't know anything about video games, but what do you think? Is that still the same thing? Or is it just not?
Back in the 80s, especially the 80s, there was a huge thing against video game violence that it actually inspired real violence. And there were, and this is when it was Doom. Remember Doom?
Yeah.
80s style Doom,
Yeah.
like 16 pixel.
Yeah.
Or 32-bit graphics. It was not even that great even. And that stuff was, and it's supposed to inspire these young people to go out and commit mass murder because they couldn't differentiate between gameplay and real play.
Yeah.
And so I would say it depends on the fortitude of the individual. For me and you and pretty much everyone on this panel and in the chat, hi to everyone in the chat, by the way. Eric is like being digitally flirted with. It's kind of funny. You're 40, really? Oh my God, you don't look it. But I think it's about the individual fortitude. From a gaming perspective, we all know that. If you restart that level, those same bad guys are coming back to give you a challenge. If they were really dead, they never come back. They're digital creation. And you could say, oh, it's Matrix from another universe. You could, if you want to make that argument. But if you have... It could even be thought as being cathartic and or therapeutic to a certain degree.
Right.
Again, it's about the individual fortitude and what you can separate when it comes to flesh and blood reality versus going pew, 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 pew. I mean,
it's already in you. It's already in you. This is going to help you get it out, right?
Yeah, that's one aspect. Yeah, it's
but then again, everyone is capable of that act. Everyone is Cain, my friend. Given a set of circumstances that you cannot foresee, you could become that person. I think everyone's capable of that. I would never want to do that. So,
yeah.
But I've always thought, oh my God, am I going to hell because I killed so many
NPCs,
SOCOM, Navy SEAL guys on a video game? I was really concerned about that. For the longest time.
From my perspective, I think you're safe. Sherry thinks it desensitizes a person to that type of activity. Again, I would cite personal fortitude to really make that determination. What does everyone else think?
Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, he
Eric.
sounds like a robot on my side.
Oh my God, he sounds like a demon.
He sounds like a robot.
A
to me.
20-year-old
'Cause-
demon. No.
Looks like you got the mask man coming for you.
Oh wow.
Say something for me, Eric. That's
Wow,
interesting.
it
You
sounds-
sound like a robot to me. Like everything's
Sounds
talking to me.
weird, man. Kind of cool though, but I can't understand what you're saying.
Yeah. You want to come out and come back in real quick?
Zoe, what do you think?
Sure. I've played video games my whole life. I'm a huge gamer, so yeah, obviously I'm guilty of that sin if that's the case. But no, I mean obviously, I mean if we're talking in a literal sense, then it is just a matter of murder being bad. And this is something very close to me. But murder being bad is because of many reasons, but if you take a religious approach, you're killing God's creation. If you take a more scientific or realistic approach, not that is not realistic, but it's it's obviously an evil act to do so, even if it's necessarily for like a good reason, because you're taking away a piece of consciousness that is the same as you. And just like you said, David, and I agree with that. And you're taking away somebody from everyone else in the world, everything that their potential to be. And but if we're talking in metaphorical sense, as far as video games, I mean we kill things every day in that sense. You shed bits of yourself, you change your opinion, you whatever you want to attribute to that, or maybe you like literally squash a fly or something like that because it's annoying. And I think we're all probably guilty of that. Like, I don't think anybody's so like, oh, they would never hurt a fly, because that's probably not true. But yeah,
Except for this one.
Yeah, so like I think in a metaphorical sense,
Yeah.
are kind of like you said, like, is that still a sin to kill people in video games? I guess that's I think it goes to the core of our conversation from my perspective, is that it comes down to like what is truth to you, and what is the fortitude in yourself of who do you want to be and represent, etc. So and well, since he's not back yet, I'll just follow up. Those were the 3 cards that I pulled.
Eric had to chime in. I had to dip out. My power went out at the beginning of the show, so I've been using my phone.
Oh no!
Oh no! But the dang thing is overheating, hence why I probably sounded like a demon. That's what he had
I'm
to
glad
say.
it's about the Hat Man or the Mask Man.
Right.
It's very good.
That was a very interesting guest you had on there. I like Tim. Tim.
My name's Tim.
I'm having a stroke. He was awesome. Eric was awesome.
Eric is from Paranormal Truth Reborn.
Cool.
They're a show here on the UPRN.
Oh, nice.
So. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching and listening. My guests, it is time to end the show. Tell us where we can find you. You have 30 seconds.
Go, Zoe.
At Zoey Elderbrain on Instagram and now on TikTok. So spelled how it sounds, ZoeyElderbrain. And I'm just messing around. So
also look for Secrets of Denmore Manor coming out hopefully very soon. I believe you guys are shooting in August, if I'm not mistaken.
Thanks for reminding me of that.
No problem.
So Secrets of Denmore Manor, directed by and written, starred in by Kevin Sapiel. And it's gonna be great. It's a whole thing, but it's gonna be a horror found footage film. And you can find us at Secrets of Densmore Manor. Also go check out Where the Weird Ones Are.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll be hopefully filming in August, possibly as late as October. But either way, it's getting filmed this year, and by next year we will have a movie out. And
That's
so dope.
great.
Everyone's saying we had a great show, and thank you for all that. David, tell us where we can find you.
I'm David from Down the Rabbit Hole. You can find me everywhere. Just look for Down the Rabbit Hole. I have a podcast called David Don't Know, and the latest episode is with Askia, the Boogeyman Booker. He's the host of the Horrible Podcast. It's the fastest growing podcast in the world today. So go check that out. I get to interview him. I've been on his show. It's fantastic. I'm also the host of Deeper Down the Rabbit Hole with David. I have 2 episodes out, and if you love going deeper down a rabbit hole, definitely check that show out. Thank you so much, Tim, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Not at all. My absolute pleasure for both you and Zoe. And Eric, thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric. Good to meet you.
I'm sorry you lost power. Poor guy. I don't mean to laugh, but poor guy. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim Sedano. This is Paranormal Insight, and we'll see you next week on, Paranormal Insight. Take care. If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com.